Video games are super ubiquitous. What are action hounds playing these days? Check out this video.
Welcome to Action Hound Media, the site and channel all about action. Life's boring, get some more action into your life. All right, we're going to talk about video games and the SteamDeck. The history of video games is a fascinating journey that spans over 70 years, evolving from simple experiments in computer science to a multi-billion-dollar global industry. Okay, so video games all started way back in 1952. OXO, a version of tic-tac-toe, was created by A.S. Douglas on the EDSAC computer. Then in 1962, Space War came out, developed at MIT by Steve Russell, and it was one of the first true video games playable on a computer. In 1971, Computer Space by Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney became the first commercially available arcade game. And then in 1972, Pong came out, also by Bushnell's Atari, and that became a massive hit. And also in 1972, the Magnavox Odyssey, the first home video game console, was released. Then came the console wars. Console wars, the fierce competition among gaming hardware companies to dominate the home console market. These wars shaped the gaming industry, fueling innovation, fan loyalty, and some of the most iconic games and systems ever made. Here are some of the big console wars. The first big console war was Atari versus the world, basically. Atari 2600 came out and it just dominated over some other systems like the Intellivision and the ColecoVision. Atari was the bomb. Then came the video game crash in 1983. The market became so saturated with low quality games and too many consoles. Consumer trust collapsed, nearly killing the home console industry in North America. But then came the Nintendo versus Sega console war. That was the late 1980s to the mid 1990s. It was the NES and the Super NES against the Sega Master System and the Sega Genesis. Super Nintendo versus Genesis became the defining rivalry of the 16-bit era. Sega aggressively marketed the Genesis with slogans like "Genesis does what Nintendo don't," and the Sega screen. Sega! I don't do it very well. Nintendo led in global sales, but Sega gained massive ground, especially in North America. Another console war was when Sony entered the ring around the mid-1990s to early 2000s. You had the Sony PlayStation, Nintendo had the Nintendo 64, Sega had the Sega Saturn and the Dreamcast. Sony's PlayStation used CD-ROMs, which was better for storage instead of the cartridges, and Nintendo stuck with the cartridges for the N64, and that limited third-party support because it cost so much to make the cartridges. Well, Sega took a flop because they had poor marketing, not enough staying power. So Sony dominated this console war. The original PlayStation became the first console to sell 100+ million units. So Sega exits the hardware business in 2001. Then Microsoft joins the fray. You had Sony with the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3. Microsoft came out with the Xbox and the Xbox 360. And Nintendo had the GameCube and the Wii. Wii wins in sales due to broad audience and despite being underpowered. The Xbox 360 and PS3 battled fiercely and had nearly even market share. But Microsoft became a major force since they entered the fray. Then you had the PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One versus the Nintendo Switch. The PS4 sells over 117 million units, vastly outperforming Xbox One, who had about, I think, 50 million. And the Nintendo Switch became a phenomenon, challenging both, but not selling quite as much. So what we're seeing now is the PlayStation 5 versus the Xbox Series X versus the Switch, and the Switch just recently came out with the Switch 2. So the console war between PlayStation and the Xbox is arguably over with no clear winner. While PlayStation still holds the largest market share, Xbox has shifted its focus to Xbox Game Pass and cross-platforming gaming, potentially appealing to a wider audience. The competition is now more about offering different experiences and features rather than a direct battle for dominance. All good, all good. I mean, I like the Xbox, I like the PlayStation, and I like the Switch, and the Switch 2 looks phenomenal, but I would say my favorite thing is the Steam Deck. If you don't know what the Steam Deck is, you've got to check it out. The Steam Deck rules the roost. It was released in 2022. The Steam Deck is a handheld gaming computer that runs SteamOS, a Linux-based operating system. The Steam Deck comes in two models. You have the OLED model, which goes for about $550, and the LCD model that goes for $350. I got the LCD. If you could afford it, go get the OLED. It's worth it. The OLED is a much better system than the LCD because it has a better screen, better resolution, longer battery life, faster Wi-Fi, and improved build quality. And the Steam Deck supports docking, allowing users to connect to external displays, keyboards, mice, effectively transforming it into a desktop PC in desktop mode. Users can install third-party applications, browse the web, or use productivity tools, making the Steam Deck a versatile device beyond gaming. So despite having the PlayStation, the Xbox, the Switch, the Steam Deck is a powerful handheld gaming device that bridges the gap between portable gaming consoles and full-fledged PCs. With its robust hardware, flexible operating system, and the ability to play a vast library of games, it offers a unique gaming experience for enthusiasts. Whether you're gaming on the go or using it as a desktop PC, the Steam Deck provides versatility and performance in a compact form factor. What makes the Steam Deck great is that you could take it anywhere and play anywhere, and you don't have to turn on a TV and set up your console. It's just you press a button, you got your device in your hands, and you're playing. You're playing. You could be on the toilet, on the train, in the library, anywhere where you're bored, and you just take out your Steam Deck and you're good to go. The only problem is the Steam Deck only has sold about 2 million units. They're not really selling that much hardware, but they're making a lot of money selling the games because they have a huge library. All the PC games are available, and a lot of PlayStation games and Xbox games are available. And you can play PlayStation and Xbox on a Steam Deck with the right applications. I'm sure the next console war will be a platform where PlayStation makes their version of the Steam Deck, Xbox makes their version of the Steam Deck, or I hear rumors that Xbox may be dropping out of the console business. And you already have the Switch 2, which looks like a Nintendo version of the Steam Decks. That's all I got to tell you. Action Hunt Unite. Peace.